The third plague. Dust becomes gnats. Even the smallest signs reveal God's unmatched power. The wind blew quietly across Egypt, carrying no frogs this time, no smell of the river, only dust. Fine, ordinary dust. It covered everything: the ground, the tools, the palms of workers, even the air itself. No one looked twice at it. But God can turn the smallest things into His loudest voice. This would be no grand flood or storm, no thunder, no fire, just dust. Dust that would move, crawl, and fill the land. The third plague was about to begin. Days had passed since the frogs were gone. The Nile was quiet again, markets open, laughter returning to the streets. Egypt wanted to forget. Pharaoh sat in his court, resting his chin on his hand. The smell of lotus oil filled the room. Musicians played soft notes to drown out memory. The odds of Egypt have restored order. The river runs blue again. The air is clear. But behind him, the pillars were cracked. The people were tired. Peace built on pride never lasts long. God spoke again to Moses, not in thunder, but in steady command. Tell Aaron, stretch out your staff and strike the dust of the earth, and it will become gnats throughout all Egypt. The morning sun baked the ground into a pale shimmer. Moses and Aaron walked into the open field outside the city. No audience, no drama, only obedience. Aaron lifted his staff, struck the ground, and waited. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the dust began to move. Tiny specks shimmered upward like smoke. They filled the air, swirling, rising higher, then separating into wings, into legs, into life. From the ground to the sky, millions of gnats burst forth, like dust come alive. They crawled on skin, filled eyes and hair, covered beasts, covered Pharaoh's guards, covered the land. Everywhere people slapped at the air, shouting, coughing, running, but there was no place free. What had been ignored, the smallest dust, had become impossible to escape. Even kings could not hide from what they once walked on. Inside the palace, Pharaoh's magicians hurried in, their robes disheveled, faces marked by the insects that clung to them. They tried to imitate the sign, bowls of sand, gestures, murmured chants. Nothing. We cannot. The dust will not move for us. This is the finger of God. Even they, Egypt's proud scholars, wise in symbols and secrets, admitted defeat. But Pharaoh turned away, jaw tight, eyes hard. Enough! They are only gnats. Go! He waved them off, but his hands trembled. The gnats didn't stop. They filled the court, the temple, the fields, every inch of Egypt except Goshen. Where Israel lived, the air was still. Children played by small wells of clear water. No insects, no cries, no panic. The people saw what was happening beyond their borders and understood God was drawing a line between oppression and freedom, between pride and trust. See the dust on your feet? God can use even that to speak. He is not just a God of storms, but the God of stillness. Sometimes miracles shout, sometimes they whisper, and sometimes they crawl through the dust to make us look down and remember who made us from it. Across Egypt, every surface moved. The dust that Pharaoh's builders swept from their bricks now crawled back onto their hands. Horses stomped and neighed, soldiers flailed their arms, priests covered their faces. Temples of polished stone looked alive, not with glory, but with gnats. The hum of insects replaced the songs of idols. The whispers of magic were drowned by the sound of small wings. Even nature obeyed the command of its creator, but Pharaoh still did not. Pharaoh sat alone in his hall, scratching his arm. His crown was set aside, his robes wrinkled. He looked toward the door where Moses had once stood. "They say, 'This is the finger of their God.' But I am Pharaoh. I am the son of Ra. I do not bend." Pride spoke louder than truth, and when pride speaks louder, even pain cannot teach. God did not send the plagues to destroy Pharaoh. He sent them to reveal him and to reveal Pharaoh's heart. The same signs that softened others only hardened him. Later that evening, Moses prayed outside his tent. The stars shimmered like silver sand above him. "Lord, Pharaoh does not listen. Still you send me. You know the next sign and the next. Is there no easier way?" There is no easy way to free a proud heart. Each sign will show my name. Each step will lead to freedom. The night breeze brushed the sand, carrying the faint sound of wings fading into silence. Another lesson had ended, but the story was far from over. The Egypt magicians called it the finger of God, and they were right. It was a small sign with mighty meaning. The first plague touched Egypt's pride. The second tested their comfort. The third touched their skin, close, personal, inescapable. God's power is not just in mighty rivers or thunderous winds. It's in the smallest things we overlook: a speck of dust, a moment of silence, a change of heart. Every plague is both judgment and invitation. To Pharaoh, it said, "Humble yourself." To Israel, it said, "Your freedom is near." As the gnats finally faded, Egypt was quieter than ever before. Temples closed for cleansing, marketplaces emptied. The people whispered about the God of Moses, the one who commands even dust. If he can turn dust to life, what will he do next? God was awakening not just Pharaoh's fear, but the land's attention, and soon his power would move again, louder, sharper, undeniable. The third plague ended not with shouting, but with silence. Pharaoh still would not yield, but Egypt had begun to tremble. Dust had become life. Next, life itself would turn against them. Swarms that darkened the air, flies that filled the skies. The battle between pride and obedience was just beginning. Each step was another knock on the same door, the door of a heart too proud to open. and a God too loving to stop knocking. The third plague reminds us that nothing is too small for God to use. He can speak through storms or through specks of dust. He can humble kings and comfort slaves with the same wind, the same whisper. When life feels out of control, remember, the God who commands rivers and creatures also commands dust. And that means He can handle your heart, your story, your tomorrow. Even the smallest signs can carry the greatest power. Even the smallest faith can move mountains. The gnats were gone, but Pharaoh's heart was still hard. Next came the buzzing sound of warning. Flies everywhere, darkening the skies and filling Egypt's homes. Come back for the next tiny Bible tale. The fourth plague, the swarm of flies. God's voice was still calling, one sign at a time.